We are live on Facebook. I'm here with Chris Thomas at Fusion Odyssey on Instagram. He's an 8-year NFL wide receiver, San Diego Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, Washington Redskins, St. Louis Rams, Kansas City Chiefs, and he is a Super Bowl champion. 6'2", 195 pounds from Ventura, California. He now owns and runs Fusion Odyssey, where he teaches athletes of all ages how to unlock their most powerful weapon, the mind, to achieve and transform their game to start performing at levels they never thought possible. Coach, thank you so much for your time here today and joining us. How's it going?
Hey, Coach Madden, how's it? It's going fantastic. How are you?
Very good, very good. Before we start, can I see that ring on your finger?
I wore it just for you. I don't typically wear this, but
that
is it. If you can see it.
That is so sweet.
Childhood dream team, which makes it even sweeter.
Oh man, you know what? I got to be honest. I am not the hugest football fan. I'm a baseball guy, as you know, but I did watch some football in the early days when I was coming up, and that was one of my favorite teams.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was it was an amazing experience for me. I mean, it really made my NFL career, not just because we won the Super Bowl, but just because the culture. You know, I think the culture was everything you'd want it to be, and it explains a lot about why we won a championship. So it was really special, and it was the Rams. I grew up as a Rams fan, being a Cali boy.
That's cool. Now, people may be wondering, what the heck is an NFL Super Bowl champion doing on a baseball channel here? And it's funny. I'm going to tell, if you don't mind, I'll tell the story real quick how we met. I was reaching out to customers of my website about this little mini glove that I sell. And one of the customers happened to be Coach Thomas. And he reached back and he was cool enough to tell me what he thought about the glove. And he started telling me that he's training these baseball players. Come to find out, he is who he is. And we started talking from there. And he's got this really amazing training that he's doing with not only football players, not only soccer players, not only softball players, but with baseball players as well. And I was just so intrigued by what he's got going on. And I want you to share with everyone what you got going on. What is Odyssey, Fusion Odyssey, and how are you helping not only baseball players, but athletes in general take their game to the next level?
Yeah, so Fusion Odyssey started for me 15 years ago. It really was when I left the game of football. I retired, and I was transitioning into life after football. I joined Merrill Lynch, a financial investment firm. And right about the same time, I had a coworker of mine who was coaching JV football at a local high school that's very prominent. And he asked me to go out for one day and work with his JV wide receivers. And of course, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to do that. Well, my personality is such that I don't just go out there. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to go out there for one day, what am I actually going to give them? You know, I've never really done this. What am I going to give them? So interestingly enough, I sort of started looking at, okay, well, what made me great at what I did? And in the process of that, I always recognized I had this extremely challenging experience in the NFL. It challenged every chamber of who I was as a person, who I could be as a performer. I was contending with forces there was no book for. I didn't even know that those forces existed because they weren't any part of my experience until the NFL. And so I had to go to places that just physical and technical weren't going to resolve. And it wasn't until someone asked for my help that I actually reflected on it, if that makes any sense. And then at that point, I was like, well, wait a minute, I feel like I was playing this different game. And I feel like this game went beyond just running routes and working hard and running hills and everything else. So I think I was playing this game for the mind. It's a different intellectual game. It's a different psychological game. It's a different emotional game. I wonder what's going to happen if I give that to these kids. So I did that for one day. And then one day, the coaches were like, what just happened? Like, those kids are not supposed to be doing what you just have them doing. How did you do that? I'm like, I'm not exactly sure. I'll be back. You know what I mean? So I didn't leave it there. I ended up sticking around and stayed there for the whole season and basically watched all these kids transform right in front of my eyes. 3 kids that were completely irrelevant became superstars. That led the parents to go, listen, I've never seen anything like that in my life. That was amazing. Can we get more of it? I said, sure, why not? I created this private 4.5-month learning institution called Fusion Odyssey. And really what that meant was when you come to me, This isn't about just going to get bigger, stronger, faster. This isn't about just doing technical work. This is about unlocking a component of performance that is going to give every single person a chance to play a game that is fearless, without judgment, without pressure, without expectation, without trying to be perfect, without being inhibited. I'm going to teach you how to play as an intellect before you're an athlete. And I'm going to allow you to play in this cocoon where you learn to play this game within the game that you can put in a backpack and take in any environment and become a version of yourself that your physical abilities by themselves would never let you accomplish. And so that's what happened. Started with 5 guys, and it was just supposed to be on the side. I was still working at Merrill Lynch, and then every year it just got bigger, and it was really just football players initially for the first 12 years. And those players just were doing insane things. And then I did a talk at a local YMCA, expecting 10 and 14-year-old boys there about 3.5 years ago. Show up. There's 26 club soccer girls there. And I was like having to speak to an audience I wasn't prepared for. I've always known that there's a lot that inhibits athletes. I've always known that athletes are not at all close to breaching their greatness because the only world they know is the physical world and the technical world. And yet 66% of your game is going to come from your mental game. So if you're not unlocking any of that, you're giving up 66% of your greatness. So when I talked to these girls, I said, listen, if there's something affecting you, want to talk to me about it, and or you want to learn to play this game within the game, write your name and email them. Well, 21 girls wrote down, I need help. Started with a couple, and right out the gate, they went on and did things that were just insane. And not even just physically, coach, it was that, yes, I taught them to play this game with the ball that they had never played before, like immediately, which is shocking because, you're talking to girls who played club soccer for 6 or 7 years. They go to practice 3 or 4 days a week. They've touched 1 million soccer balls, and in 15 minutes, you're going to teach them how to touch the ball in a way they never have before.
Right.
Because it's coming from the mind. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I took these 2 girls, and they did these amazing things. I started consulting with athletes because of them and really helping them redefine the entire sports experience because we live in a culture, whether you're in Florida, whether you're where I am, where, young people grow up believing that they're supposed to judge themselves because everybody else is. They have to question who they are because everybody else is. They have to scrutinize that they're good enough because everybody else is. They have to exist with pressure because, they may or may not be enough. And so now they're scared that they might not get what they want or someone's going to deny them of their sense of self or whatever it is that goes on. They've grown up like that. So they only know how to function whenever it comes time to step onto a stage or put themselves out there and make themselves vulnerable. They only know how to function with a fear of failure. Mm-hmm. That's it. And it's a brutal way to try to perform, especially when you're not gifted. And there's only so many people who are really gifted, and they don't know how to do anything about that except try to function in spite of that. And that's a horrible way to exist when you want to go be great. So that basically started me going, I think I'm supposed to be doing this for my life. Within 3 months, I was working with 16 soccer girls privately, like 4 baseball kids, a couple basketball boys, and I decided I was going to leave Merrill Lynch after 14 years and go and create a video series that would give everybody in the universe access to what it is that I know about the mind. So I created a 28 video series that addresses every single component of the emotional game, intellectual game, psychological game, so that people literally can go out and reinvent who they are overnight, virtually. So I did that for 2 years, or just about 2 years, and launched that at the end of last year, 2019. And now that's kind of my new life. And then I work with athletes physically in my backyard where I can. But at some point, I'm going to be giving myself a chance to work with athletes over the internet, through workshops, and also physically in workshops when we stop being quarantined. So that's kind of Fusion Odyssey.
That is so cool. And I know from my own experience, the power of that. You said instant disruption or change of path, because I played just like you said. I had the fear of failure for a long time. Luckily, I had the talent. Like you said, some guys aren't lucky enough to have the talent, but I played that way all the way until my junior year of college. And it was in my senior year of college when something clicked, and I know what it is. I airmailed the ball into the stands during a game, and I felt terrible. I was like, I never want to feel that way again. I was always the last guy in line for practice so I could do the least amount of reps that I could because I was afraid to fail. I was that guy the whole time. Once I had that one situation happen. I had it happen many times, but there was one time where I said, I don't ever want that to happen again.
Yeah.
And this may be my last season of playing baseball if I don't change it. So I said,
Yeah.
you know what? Whatever I do from now on the baseball field, I'm going to go at it with full conviction, 100% conviction and belief. And if the pitcher calls fastball in, I'm not going to say, oh, I hope I don't hit this guy. Instead, I'm going to go, here it comes, sucker. If it's going to hit you, you better get out of the way. And it was just
Yeah.
instant thought in my head that changed everything. I went from a terrible player to an All-American, ended up getting drafted that year, playing professionally for 6 years. And I think it was from that one split second and decision, like you said. So when you say that you can tell these athletes something and then 15 minutes later be a totally different athlete, I 100% believe that when you say it, because I had that in my own experience. Why is it so important that these players unlock that? I want to say unlock, because that's really what you're doing, is unlocking this special place in their brain. Why is it so important that they do it? And like, can you take us through some of the process without giving away too much of what you do?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's critical because I've never met an athlete that doesn't